Hi guys, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. I have a message for you today. I'm just going to do the one read from this morning. I got a lot of information, and the one thing that's so much fun for me is you never know what Spirit's going to bring you. And I hope you can follow my chain of thought with what I received today. But this happens as I'm getting into the read. Before I even get to the read, from the coding, I got a lot of messages, which led me on a bit of a journey with the numbers. So I hope you can follow with my chain of thinking as I go through that part. But definitely doing the read for the Divine Masculine Feminine, and then the Oracle cards at the end. Feels really beautiful energy. Actually, I was asleep till just about 11 o'clock because I didn't sleep the night before, and boy did that feel good. So I feel very well rested. It's beautiful. It's not quite bright sunny outside, but there's a nice breeze and it feels clean. After some very harsh energies, it feels like a relief, which I know that today astrologically was supposed to be a little bit calmer as well from what I've been hearing. And it is Sunday, October 14, 2018, which is nice because we have the Temperance energy for today, the 14, which is a 5. So even though it says calm and balance, it's also of expansion energy, the 5, of change and expansion, and having to do with what the day adds up to, which is 35-8, which is the 9 of Wands. So it's very much the wounded warrior energy today. And how do you get back from the wounded warrior to balance, which is the temperance of patience? How do you keep your temper and not lose your temper? So some of these energies are coming up today, and they'll come out more in the read. But 35-8 also comes up as a very business-oriented 8, having a lot to do with work issues and that kind of thing. But 8, of course, is that the inner and outer strength. It is the infinity, the ability to manifest, and it's always a big sports and businesses. And now, you know, a lot of sports are coming out and being highlighted. You know, the World Series coming up, and then a lot of the football games. So you'll be feeling a lot of that coming up. I actually saw someone driving around yesterday with their Eagles flags sticking out of their car. So, and then last night, please enlighten me if I'm totally unaware. There was a lot of fireworks, and I have no idea why fireworks were going off. And it wasn't just like a quick firework; it was a lot of fireworks. And at first, I thought it might have been some gunshots because there's a police gun range not far from where I am. So, I mean, most of the time it doesn't bother me, but there's been a few times where they're shooting later at night, and I'm like, really? Does that need to be the last thing I hear before I go to sleep at night? So it's not really close, but you know, you definitely hear it because they're gunshots. So, and there may be a reason for me having to bring that up. It's very masculine energy, you know, shooting ranges and about killing. And I wanted to bring up too, the movie I watched last night. It's not a movie I would normally be drawn to, but I kind of forced myself to watch it to see what it would bring up for me. And it was called Nymphomaniac, and it's on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it before. It was very harsh. It was tough to watch that movie, you know. And it's tough for different reasons, you know, the different kinds of feelings that it brings out of you, because it's a very abusive sexual movie. Yeah, if you haven't, you might, it's not something that's going to make you feel good or anything, but it'll help you identify with some of the wounding that no one ever talks about or brings up, which is some of the wounding that's going to be kept very hidden deep inside of you if you've carried it over from other lives. And it has a lot to do with trust too of yourself. Anyway, and Spirit's connecting with me. I don't want to give away the end of the movie, so I was going to tell you something, but if you want to watch it, I didn't want to give it away. But yeah, if you're up for it, and it didn't cause me to purge or anything, just it left me on very kind of uncomfortable feelings, you know. As far as, you know, what do we judge and how do we judge and should we be judging? So it'll bring up a lot for you. So I recommend it in that sense if you want to work on yourself as far as wounds that you may not have gotten out of yourself. It's probably really good for that. But I slept really well last night, so it can't be all bad, okay? It was very dark. You know, it wasn't just someone who just wanted to have sex with people all the time. It was very, very abusive to herself and very destructive to everything in her life. So, yeah. And also shows the wounds of the other people around her, you know, the people that she dealt with who were also very abusive and destructive to others and to themselves. And in what ways are you all destructive to others and to yourself as far as abuse goes? So it's something to think about. So, on another note, getting into today's energy of the wounded warrior and dealing with patience and judgment and balance and all of those kind of things. The read started out, it went down at 125 to 127 today. And before I get into what came up with the read, I just wanted to really quickly bring up the fact that the Divine Masculine may be undercover. He may even be connecting with you and you're unaware of it. I had, when I was still in bed this morning, since I had slept really late today, I wasn't ready to get out of bed and I was still in my PJs, so I didn't want to answer the door, but somebody came to the door. I was wondering, because I don't get a lot of people knocking at my door. And so I peeked out the window to see, and it looked like someone who was, it could have been Mormons or something like that, you know, some kind of solicitation, but they looked very nice. There was a man in a suit and then two women with him, and it was actually a woman and a younger girl too. But I didn't answer the door because I don't want to. I shouldn't have to make an excuse for not wanting to talk to people when I'm still in my pajamas and just woke up. I don't have to. I just wanted to peek out the window to see if it was urgent, you know, because obviously if it's an emergency, I wanted to get up. But still, someone came to my door and I didn't let them in. And then I got up to do my usual routine, and the cat, who always likes to be on my deck in the back, was curled up sleeping when I first went to the kitchen. So cute, all peaceful, kind of like I felt when I woke up this morning. And then I was doing some stuff in the kitchen, and then I looked up again, and he's standing up now, and I always call him he, but he wears a sparkling pink collar, okay? So it's a she, but she was up now on her front paws, kind of just, you know how you stare when you first wake up in the morning, like into nothingness because you're not really there yet? That's exactly the way the cat was, and I was like dancing and saying hi, and wasn't responding at all. So I opened the back door to say hello, because I wanted to get a picture of her, because she's always so cute. So as I went to take a picture, I opened the back door, and now she's walking, and she had jumped down on the deck, and she's walking toward the back door, because she always wants to say hi to me. And I took a whole bunch of pictures, and they were so cute. But I have to show you this one picture. Very much a divine feminine with her sparkling pink collar. Hopefully it'll come in. Okay. In her masculine. And I love how the tongue is sticking out in a triangle. I don't think the picture you're seeing is as good as the picture, you know, I see, but it's literally touching in the picture I'm seeing, because it's not coming up very well on the screen. The tongue is mirroring exactly the triangle of the nose, and it's very masculine energy coming out. It's like, you know, it's like the cat, you know, wanting to devour its prey, you know. But it was really just the cat wanting to come in. Wasn't sure why I went in and the door shut behind me, and she couldn't come in with me. So there's that energy about me not letting someone in, okay? Because the cat wanted to come in the back door, and these other people wanted me to come answer the front door, and I wasn't answering. So that your masculine may already be around you, trying to come in a certain way, but maybe he's getting the energy that you don't want him there. And they may be coming to you as a feminine, you know, in disguise, or just coming off as not who they truly are, you know, because they're afraid to be who they truly are around you. So let me know what comes up for you guys in the comments regarding that. And again, as always, thank you guys always for your likes, shares, and subscribes, and all of your comments. I love talking with all of you and hearing about your syncs and your situations that come up. So I want to get into the read, but always, you know, feel free to share and subscribe if you'd like to. It is helpful to me. Okay. If you'd like any of my services, all my services are 10% off this month for all of October for the Wheel of Fortune, since October is the number 10. And you can go to my website or just email me if you're not sure what you want, and I'll be glad to respond to you. So the read today for the feminine and the divine masculine, as time goes on and the more and more these reads that I do, it's like the divine masculine and feminine really are becoming more one, so it's really not necessary to do both reads. The major arcana for this read were the Star and the Alchemy. Alchemy in this deck is the Temperance card, which is what today is. And then, of course, the Star. There's 3 cups, 4 pentacles, 1 sword, and 1 wand. As far as the court cards, I write down 9 of Pentacles. It's not a court card, but I often see it as a person. The Queen of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, and the King of Pentacles. Okay. This is very much about a King and Queen of Pentacles manifesting, and the Knight of Wands being that passionate movement forward. Manifesting. Because you need energy to manifest, right? The numbers that came up in the coding and the read were 44, 5, 49, 4. 22 came up, as well as 34, 11. And there's a lot here about the number 10 as well. I'm going to bring that up as well. So the coding had to do with, I'm going to read you what I wrote down. I didn't go online at all with this because it was very clear to me what the message was about. The number 44 comes up in the coding, which is very important. 44 is the number of Atlas, the social worker, but it's also in the cards is the 4 of Cups, which a lot of people see as the boredom card, or not getting what you want, you know, feeling sorry for yourself. But this 44, and also the half moon was coming up, which is right around where we are, you know, when you're halfway between the new moon and the full moon. It's around that time. That the wise ones of the Christ consciousness expand their light through their spirituality. And spirituality was the main focus of the coding today. It's all about your spirituality. With the weight of the world upon their shoulders, the twins expand by shining their light through spirituality. Board integrating and grounding at the half moon, as part of your mission, the divine feminines change and expand their hearts spiritually. And also, while the divine masculine now carries the weight of the world, the divine feminine shines their light more fully spiritually. Okay? So the grounding and the enlightening. Okay? So it's very much in continuing with who you are, you know, that to know who you are, to know the masters that you are as twins. That when you connect with your masters or whoever you usually call on, that you are of that God energy. To know who you are, know your worth, know your power, and stand in your power. And 44, being the 4 of Cups, I see it a lot now as an integration card, because it's about boredom, and the reason for boredom is time to integrate the things that we've learned. You need that time to stand still, and even if you're feeling sorry for yourself, that's the lesson. You need to feel why you're feeling that way. That's time of boredom, time of integration and grounding yourself. Maybe you've come away from being grounded and you just need to reground again, right? So then I get into kind of a rant of numbers. I wrote down, I was thinking about the cards, and I always see the Knight of Pentacles as sovereignty. You know, it's 9 of Pentacles is the single person on their own with everything they need. So I much see that a lot as the feminine, the way she should be when she comes into union. And then today, for some reason, I was thinking, well, then, but why do I always show the Nine of Pentacles and see that as a person, but then I don't always see the Nine of Cups as a person? Because that's like the man in his sovereignty, right? He's got all his cups behind him, and he's very satisfied. So I wrote this down, Nine of Pentacles, which is 77, as far as the numbers. And this is the Divine Triangles, the numerology book that I learned from in my early 20s. Also, I wrote down the Nine of Cups equals 49, which is the number that it equals in the Divine Triangle. And I just wrote them down one under the other. Nine of Pentacles equals 77. Nine of Cups equals 49. If you add the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups, that's 18. If you add the 77 and 49, that's 126. The 18 equals 9, and the 126 equals 9. They both still equal 9, which is completion. It's the end. So then this is where I end up going on this rant of numbers. So this is Spirit guiding me into this chain of thinking. So hopefully you can follow me on this. I know it's hard when you don't always have a visual. I am going to have something to show you. Oh, and this is the cat picture for when you have to go to the dentist. Open your mouth wide. I just had to show you that. There's so many cute pictures. I just wanted to share, but I didn't want to take the time to do this on here. So coming from this Nine of Pentacles and Nine of Cups, and the 9 equals 9, okay? In numerology, the numbers are 1 through 9. Those are the base numbers. And then 10, 11, 12 are considered higher octave numbers. So 9 is completion, but if you want to go past completion and expand yourself and master, that's the 10, 11, 12. So while 1 is service to self, because 1 is the masculine selfish energy, and 9 is service to others, it's the number of endings and compassion and universal selflessness, 10 represents the service to self as service to other of the high vibration of the twins. It is the next step from 9 going to 10. It's just one of the masculine energy, but adding God to it. So adding God to service to self. It is the adding of the third energy to access the high vibration of the 10, 10, 10, 10, right? The high vibration, never going far from 0. Stay really close, mastering. Since 0 equals all numbers because it's just God contained in the human body. Okay, it's the nothingness with a boundary on it, your body. So all numbers, 0 equals all numbers because anything that's here manifested as anything human or anything else is of source energy. 1 through 9. Okay? And by the way, 1 through 9 then looks like 19, which is the sun, which equals 1, which is masculine energy. Okay? So then I was guided to add up the numbers 1 through 10, which I'm sure many people have, and they know what it's called, and I don't know any of that because I'm not a mathematician. But as I add up 1 through 9, which by the way equals 45, and 45 is the 5 of Cups. So we're talking the 4 of Cups, which will then lead into the 5 of Cups. But what I also noticed is, as I add up 1 to 9, so 1 plus 2 is 3, I'm writing down the results, and then 3 plus 3 is 6, okay? It goes 3, 6, 10, 15, 21, 28, 36, and 45. That's how you add 1 through 9 and the progression of it. But if you add, you always reduce them to a single digit in numerology. And if you reduce all those numbers to a single digit, you get 3, 6, 1, 6, 3, 1, 9, 9. They're all 3, 6, 9s and 1. Okay, that everything is based in these cycles of 3, 6, 9, like the 3D, 4D, 5D. And then we get to 12 as the 6D, but that's the higher vibration, right? Because it's 12 as opposed to 9. So how do we get there? So then I was led to the number 10. Okay, because 10 is the cycle. I'm thinking about this because it's the chain, 1 through 9 is the completion of the cycle. What do you need 10 for? 10 is the wheel that turns you into the next cycle. So it's kind of like the third energy, right? So 10 equals man plus God, or human, man. 11 equals man knowing he is God. 12 equals man expands as God. Because human, think about this, if you break up the word human, it's Hu and man. Hu, H-U, is 83, 11, which 38, the reflection of that is the Queen of Cups. And man is 415. That's coming to me through something, but I can't remember what it is. Well, that's interesting too. I didn't think of this before, but 415, in the numerology I practice, it only goes up to the double digits. We don't go into the triple digits. So I always reduce it, which it would reduce to the 10, which still works because that's the masculine energy. But I was just thinking 41 is the Ace of Cups, and 41.5 is like expansion of the Ace of Cups, which is, pure love. So anyway, we have the 38 of the Hu, which is the Queen of Cups, the reflection of that, and then the 41510, which is the man, which is masculine energy, 1, the magician. So the 38 or the 83 both reduce to the 2, which is the High Priestess. So we have the magician and the High Priestess in Hu and man. Okay, so you have the 38, and if you reflect the 10, it's 01. So you have 38 and 1, the Queen of Cups and the magician. Or 2 and 1, the High Priestess and the magician, the reflection of each other. Man, or magician, is not human, man, without the feminine, the High Priestess, or woman. Woman equals man of woe. And isn't that what the feminine is in the masculine-feminine dynamic? Human equals man of hue, or color, or variation. So the divine feminine becomes his color, his variation. Okay, because without someone to reflect off of, there is no variation of the man. He is only who he sees he is. And then I'm bringing up Yahweh, because Yahweh is actually YHWH, and the way it's described is in the Hebrew alphabet. The Y is number 10, the H is number, in the actual symbols of that alphabet. Y is the 10th letter, which is the masculine energy. H is the 5th letter, which is representative of the reflection of the masculine, as the number 5 is the 5th letter. So in this explanation of Yahweh, I was shown that 10 plus 5 equals 15, which is the devil, but it reduces to 6, which then equals the value of W, which is the 6th letter. So it's showing you how this works. Okay, so 5, and then 5 plus 6, the 5 plus the 6, and 6 is basically the W, the YHW, is considered the space between the masculine and the feminine. Alright, so masculine's 10, feminine's 5, and the space between is the 6th letter. So that's 6. So we have 10 plus 6 plus 5, or 10 plus 5 plus 6. And 5 plus 6 equals 11, which is the feminine plus the space between them. So feminine really is both the feminine and the space between them, because the masculine, when he's by himself, is just the masculine. In order to expand with the feminine, she is her and the space between them. Or you might consider this the Holy Spirit. Okay. So the 5 plus the 6, so the feminine aspect of the Yahweh, or YHW, is 11, which is that justice, or it reduces to number 2, which is the High Priestess. And then 10 of the masculine plus this 11 of the feminine equals 21. And 10 being the masculine energy, which I just said, I explained before, as the higher octaves of the 1 through 9 cycle. 10 is man plus God, right? So it's man coming down here as man, and then 11 is man knowing he is God, because now woman is here. Okay, and they both together then equal 21, which is completion. It's the world. So man and woman plus the space between them makes the world, and then we have the space between them is the quanta, or the Holy Spirit. And realize that 21 is the world and completion, but it's also the reflection of 12, okay, which is the completion of the cycle. It's the wisdom. So now Yahweh is not 3 letters, it's 4 letters, YHWH, and the second H is described as the same as the feminine energy, but just the connection between the cycles, you know. So it's like connecting the caboose to the rest of the train, you know. It's just the connection. So not only is the feminine feminine, but she's also considered the connection and the space. So H equals the divine feminine, pushing the masculine even further into expansion of God and of self. So 10 plus 5 equals 15, which reduces to 6, and then the W of Yahweh is 6, and then that equals 21, which is the completion, which is the reflection of 12-3, which, like I said, is wisdom. And it's 12-3 because 12 equals 3. But it's also that 1, 2, 3, right? The expansion from the divine masculine to the divine feminine, and then the third energy. But 12 is of wisdom, the masculine and the feminine, and the other, the more, the triangle of change, the expansion. Bringing in a third always leads to letting go of a third in order to bring in the bringing in of a new third, and so on. So the bringing in of a third always leads to a letting go of the third in order to bring in again a new third again, and so on. Because 3 is the space between 0 and 1, and 1 and 2. 3, not integrated, becomes boredom, which is this 44 we're talking about. If we have this space between us and we don't use it for integration of what we've learned, it then becomes boredom, which is like idle hands being the devil's workshop. A need for grounding back to 1 or 2, to the divine masculine, the divine feminine, whichever is your natural polarity. The masculine or feminine, you cannot stay at 0 point naturally unless you are God, source. In other words, not human. So in order to stay close to God, or source energy, one must co-create perpetually. And Spirit's connecting with me. 1, 3, 6, 9, 1, 3, 6, 9, etc. Okay? I hope this makes sense to you. And then the number 40 came up because I recently watched, in the movie last night, in Nymphomaniac. The man that she was talking to throughout the movie was very well read. So one of the things he brought up to her was that, and they were having a very intellectual discussion about religion and other things, but that 40 was the maximum lashes back when Jesus had his lashes. But the lashes had to be done in sets of 3s. I'm not sure exactly about that, except for its divine understanding, which is why Jesus only received 39 lashes as opposed to 40. And so here, this is tying in because 39 is the Knight of Cups. 39-3 is the Knight of Cups. And what is the Knight of Cups all about? It's about the offer of love, the co-creation. It's not about the King of Cups who stands still in unconditional love. It's about the Knight of Cups who then takes that love forward. Okay? But what do people always talk about the Knight of Cups? They talk about him behind his back because they're saying he's, you know, he's a womanizer, right? Because he gives his love to everyone. But this is not the purpose of the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is supposed to give his love to everyone because he is of love. Now, yes, there are people who take advantage of that idea, and they are players, or they are womanizers. But the idea of the Knight of Cups isn't that. It's of delivering love to everyone. Perpetually giving of love equals perpetual pain, equals the number 12, which equals 3, which equals co-creation. 39-3 is the 3 of the third energy, okay, of expressing yourself, expansion. And then 9 is that universal selflessness, the compassion, the co-creation. It becomes the 3. So it's like 3 going through 9 of pain. That's the number today, is the wounded warrior, in order to get back to 3 again. Okay? So perpetually giving of love equals perpetual pain, equals 12, equals 3, equals co-creation. That love expands, integrates, and continues the cycle. Love is never ending, and it cannot be contained. So I hope you understand the process of this. And understanding that the expansion can be painful, but if we master and stay at our 0 point, we don't have to experience that pain. But it is not easy, because we are human. We are not fully God. We are in human bodies. And so that's why it's not easy for us to stay at that 0 point. But that we, as master spirits, are able then to master our energy enough to stay at 0 point and be as close to God as possible at all times. This is the challenge for the twins. So it was giving me a way to show you the perspective of how this all works. So then I just wrote down, wow, it was like I couldn't believe the message that was coming through. It was showing, going back to the number 44, which is what had the coding in it, or this was in the coding this morning. And then I wrote down 44 is when you're stuck, you need to go back to square one. And 44 is so much about the square, because the 4 is the square, and 44 is 2 squares, right? Or two twins. Could be considered 2 nerds as well. But then what happens is, I'm going to show you this as well. If you're 44 and you're stuck, you feel blocked, and isn't 44 blocked? You know, how many football players with the number 44 on their back aren't on the defense, because they're very powerful, you know, they make you stuck. So you might want to let me know. I don't really know a lot about the numbers, but I just remember being on the defensive end as opposed to the offensive end, the number 44. But if you're 44 and you're stuck, it means you need to go back to square one via 2 or 3, okay, through those paths. So I'm going to show you a visual of how this works. And sorry the numbers are sideways, because that's the way I initially drew it. This is an envelope. The triangle is where you need to be, but sometimes we get off path to the square. So just visualize this envelope, all right? So the middle point here is number 1. You see all the numbers? That's where you start. That's the masculine energy. The masculine goes to number 2, the feminine energy, and then to the 3 of co-creation, and back to 1 again. But sometimes we get off path, right? We go in the wrong direction, and that leads to a block, to a square. And also, even if we're in the middle of co-creation, we can still go off on the wrong direction and get to a 4. Okay? The envelope is saying to you, you don't know which path to take until you open the message. So you have to stay connected to your guides. When you don't, you may go off path and run into a block. So how do you like that? Or you may get sidetracked, okay? I love how they bring these things up. And I didn't mean to draw envelope. It's just I was drawing the triangle and the square in relation to each other and what actually happens. And this is what was shown to me. So let me know what you think about that. It was pretty profound to me. But it's okay to go off the path. You know, it's not about beating yourself up about it. It's saying to you, you are human. You will always walk off the path. But that's how we learn, by coming back to the triangle. So I'm going to tell you what I wrote down, because I tried to write down everything I was going through as far as my thought process in this. Looking at the North, this is going into the read now, okay? Because this all applies to the read. Looking at the North Star and recovering from being sidetracked, which you may have very much felt in these heavy energies, in order to co-create and find peace, or at least to find calmer waters, by coming out of the square and back to the triangle. Sidetracking caused by hidden thoughts or secrets, i.e. not truth. The Empress is out watching, while behind her, the Knight of Cups suddenly offers love to his divine feminine, or a mother watches as an older child suddenly shows love to a younger sibling, or sudden news of a child being born. These are all the same, of love in the underlying energies. Love is out of others' control. The Sun energizes the Fool to take that leap of faith, to be free as themselves, the devil and the messenger of truth, as the truth teller marks the shadow self to come out to the light. Full disclosure. News of leaders out of control are suddenly outed for not speaking their truth, that they had lost their way on the square, now integrating and working their way back to the triangle, to start over in love, leaving the ego behind. And then the underlying card, Love Yourself First, comes up. Comforting the Wounded Warrior comes out, as today is the Nine of Wands energy. The Knight of Cups, or the King of Cups, co-creates back to his throne of 3, now cutting cords with the 4th, for in a third-party situation with a twin, there are 4 parts: the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the third energy, and the karmic. So it's not a threesome, it's a foursome. His stability, or his karmic, because that's what he sees as his stability, right? His finances with the karmic, was him losing his way on the square and fighting his way back to the triangle. The triangle is, by nature, stronger and more stable than the square. And then adventure comes up as the underlying energy. Remember, for the divine feminine, that this is all about an adventure. Deception caused conflict, or at the new moon, a fight may have ensued. Sadness and regret over a party, or a third-party situation, or possibly cheerleading at a sports event. Wine was spilled, and the King of Wands is pissed. Possibly a Leo without options, or felt he had no choice, or this can also be a very masculine woman pissed. The King of Cups ended up on the floor, stepped on, abused. And the King of Cups is the one who's unconditionally loving. You know, that's the father or the husband that you want. And this man is coming up as having ended up on the floor, maybe got kicked around. And this came up in a movie this week too, where they were changing timelines, and the kid came out to the elevator on a new timeline and then spontaneously gets, you know, the shit kicked out of him, actually. I can't remember what that one was called, but that's exactly what I visualized when this came up, that the King of Cups ended up on the floor, stepped on. A man may have been protecting his daughter, whose head is up in the clouds. So a daughter who's, all, butterflies. He may have felt like he needed to protect her. Also, the King of Wands, angry and or exhausted by the situation of a daughter or a partner, always getting whatever they want when he ends up paying for it. So it was showing, like, the spoiled daughter who has everything she wants because her mommy and daddy give her everything. So of course she has what she wants. but what's it doing for the others around them? And it could also be the karmic being represented this way as the spoiled brat, always getting what they want and assuming they deserve that. Okay? So, and there's nothing wrong with that, except when you're doing it at the expense of others. And obviously this is at the expense of the Divine Masculine. So recently, dysfunctional family energy is coming up, and or family who has lost a lot of money, or at least some money, and committed to naive passions and wanting a brand new passion. Like, so finally seeing that maybe their initial plan was immature in the way they went forward and wanting to start over and start anew. To start again independently, though, and to make magic or manifest on their own. So this is very much of the Divine Masculine, but it also can be the Divine Feminine, who may still be in karmic relationships. To find their sovereignty. The foundation for this read has to do with union of self, by running away from work that aligned with only obstacles and restrictions, while their guides and angels and psychic abilities and possibly a high priestess may have been hovering above, waiting for that Divine Masculine or that Divine Feminine to ask for their help, and or to ask for downloads or information from their higher self, from their guides, from their twin. Okay? In order to find the truth, sometimes we must go off path in order to find our way back, to learn, to identify anger within that we weren't aware of, to find hope again. Centrally, the Hermit or the Divine Feminine, could be a Divine Masculine as well, but I'm getting it as the Divine Feminine, shines light as the Divine Masculine carries the 3D weight of the world in order to push the Queen of Pentacles reversed, or the Divine Feminine who's ungrounded, to ground herself more by using crystals, crystal work, or crystal energy, or doing grid work in a race to the finish line. In commitment to your mission work, you commit to yourself and you commit to your twin. So it's showing me like the image of the Divine Masculine, you know, who has mastered the 3D world and work and all that kind of thing, doing that and continuing to do that, carrying the weight for the Divine Feminine to push her to learn how to do that for herself, because you need to both become sovereign so that you never lose that part of yourself, that you are God, and you don't need your partner to be of God. Okay? So he's pushing you to learn to manifest on your own without him, even in a business way, so that you'll know that you can do it for yourself. Okay? The challenge has been that while the Divine Feminine shines her light, the Divine Masculine is committed to learning to love himself more fully, but still imprisoned by silence and being controlled by possibly a Leo energy, but also feeling the strength of the Divine Feminine's protection. He is a prisoner of his own passion. The Divine Feminine could be as well. Clinging to unhappy families, long overdue, is foolish for both the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine. So if you're still in a karmic relationship because of comfort, it's long overdue that you have not left this situation. Now in the head and heart of the Divine Feminine is the spiritual partnership, the soulmate, present in a dried up sea that's now desert. All right, so even for the karmic, it could be the Divine Masculine or the Divine Feminine who's still in a karmic relationship and may still care about their karmic partner, or maybe just having difficulty getting out of this relationship, whether it be the sex connection or the property and money connection. None of it really has to do with the love, because they want to leave because they're in love with someone else. But the things that keep them are always about practical things, about money, sex, and those other things that aren't as important as love. So they might find them ended up, waiting too long. And don't get on yourself about waiting too long. It's just looking at your decisions and in each moment being able to choose a new path. So being present in a dried up sea that's now become a desert, like looking out to a desert, there's nothing to look forward to there. Deliberation after poor judgment. Seeing eye to eye with an Empress reversed. Why would you want to see eye to eye with an Empress reversed? Who's at least in lack mentality, if not a really nasty person. she's just in lack and separation of herself, in illusions, uncomfortable feelings of commitment to the establishment. So this could be a divine masculine who's with a mother or a spouse who's keeping him committed to them, but they themselves are actually in lack and separation from themselves. And they are actually dealing with the illusions, not the divine feminine. The divine masculine is choosing to stay in the uncomfortable feelings of a commitment to the establishment, and angry about feeling the loss and regret of having been silenced and controlled. And this could be for the divine masculine and the divine feminine, both being controlled. And it could be vice versa. It could be both for men, or it could be for the feminine being controlled by men and the divine masculine being controlled by masculine women, who imprison them and reject them, destroyed them, and their self-worth, their own passions, all now coming up to be exposed in the light of day, which is much why I know I saw this movie last night of the Nymphomaniac, because it's all about the control of the masculine energy and how abusive it was. The hermit feeling the loss of their fame, of their flame, so it could be fame as well. So whoever's been hermiting, feeling the loss of their twin flame, or their fame maybe. Maybe they were working in a situation that gave them a lot of attention. The betrayal and bleeding out, climbing to the full moon, right? Because we're now waxing towards the full moon, so we're building up energy. Soon, as an opportunity to fight for clarity regarding low energy and illness, lack of light, and being drained. The King of Pentacles is coming up here as in separation, fending off their family, possibly playing music that no one will hear, and diddling to play with energy of judgment versus non-judgment, and staying present versus a lot of physical activity or passionate movement, and then feeling sad either way, finding a way back to patience and balance at 0 point. Alchemizing the inner and outer worlds, learning what it is to be a twin, and release self-imposed prison of both twins. So helping each other to release each other from these self-imposed prisons. The divine feminine is seeing herself as the Queen of Pentacles, without a lover, but still complete in her world, floating in 5D, and silently but lovingly calling out to the King of Cups, who's been stepped on. And the cards that came up for the divine feminine here were about staying optimistic, which is about being positive, patient, and open-minded, right? And keep an open mind was the other card, that your soulmate may differ from your usual type and your usual expectations. To be positive, patient, and open-minded. Around the divine feminine, or how she may be seen, is sadness and loss after seeing synchronicities, identifying infections to clear or blocks, and overwhelmed emotionally, grounding in what others may see as illusions, and purging when needed, but also conserving energy, and somewhat disconnected from karmic energy and or karmics that see them as a little off. It also could be a karmic female who's around you, who's been dumped or has dumped someone else. But if she's dumped her partner, she may be sad and trying to hold on to her savings and the activities that they always did, or they love to do, clearing blocks of passionate physical activities after couples break up. So the divine feminine needs to clear these blocks of passionate physical activities after couples break up, when neither of them were in their truth and both are guarded, especially the feminine coming up as guarded and the masculine coming up as really off. And in this situation, they were both coming up as King and Queen of Swords reversed. So it doesn't have to be the divine masculine and feminine. It could just be a couple that you know. But just in general, in relationships, in past relationships that you've had when you broke up, clear these blocks about sexuality in general and judgments about past relationships that have hurt you. Be free and allow everyone to be true to themselves, whether it's a sexual practice that you agree with or not, or a religious practice that you agree with or not. It's okay for you to be who you are, but you also have to let them be who they are as well. And then the 4 cards came up for the divine feminine as their guidance. Number 1 was spirituality. That was the main emphasis, but it was also about spiritual career, rebirth, and new beginnings. And spirituality is actually the number 77, which came up in the read and the coding, but not because of the number on the card. This is separate. So 77 comes up, and remember that 77 is the 9 of Pentacles. Okay, it's your sovereignty. Also, spiritual career comes up, which is 78. That's the 10 of Pentacles. You know, it's the ultimate dream, life, and family. So you can only get to that ultimate dream, life, and family if you become the 77, the 9 of Pentacles. You're in your sovereignty on your own. So you have to go through that in order to get to that 78, the ultimate dream family, the legacy. You also have rebirth, which is the 16, or the tower moment. Okay, so you have to allow rebirth in order to achieve new beginnings, which is ending up on 1. Okay, unity consciousness, okay, and not straying far from the 0 point, staying at 1 of new beginnings, and 10s of continuing the cycles. As the full moon approaches and people come together in secret and sexually, in wanting attention, you may have a date after a secret divorce and or break of contract at work, or completion of a lawsuit, etc. The King of Pentacles may want to meet with you to talk about work, about karmic secrets, about what he's been through at work and or religious experiences. In healing and finding light and needing clarity through rest and connecting with 5D and their psychic abilities, and or divided by dreams, or possibly an Aquarian and 5D world, or someone became pregnant and had to stay in bed, or even multiple personalities disorder in rehab. So they may have experienced that or had someone in their life who did. So the King of Pentacles, I'm speaking of the King of Pentacles as the divine masculine, but it doesn't have to be. It could be someone who's still with their karmic for the divine feminine. But this King of Pentacles has been very unhappy and is now moving, very passionate about justice, which is truth and balance, or just completed a legal situation. Okay, but after that, as a side note, I was getting to bring up issues of rejection, victim mentality, and failure mentality. Okay, specific to the divine masculine, but obviously applies to both. But this could be coming up for the divine masculine when you come together, because the divine feminine might have already processed a lot of this information that now the divine masculine needs to deal with. So praying to your guides, in your knowing, divine feminine, the Queen of Pentacles may miss a child, or they may miss a friend or their twin, or may be sad in their sovereignty, alone, working with light, to balance their passions with a soulmate, King of Pentacles, who's now making a big move. Okay, so it was a very beautiful read, and so much information came through. So let me know what you think about all of that, and if I was clear in the number, in the expansion of the number sequencing that I was given, because to me it made a lot of sense and it was very cool. I'm going to pull you some oracle cards and see what comes up. And I didn't show you the read today. I'll show it to you here because there's a lot of cards today. I want to make sure you could see them. Okay. So if for some reason there's something you can't see, you know, just pop me an email, I'll let you know. Okay, so from the Ascension deck, take a deep breath, everyone. We're just at 53, 53 again. 53 is the Knight of Swords. So it's about the messenger of truth, but it's also about harsh, direct communication. It's also about the knight in shining armor, right? But he's military, so he's not, you know, it's not the same as the Knight of Cups or the Knight of Wands. He's warlike. He's coming to rescue someone, but you don't need to be rescued. But either way, that's coming up, and also 53 is the catapult energy. So take a deep breath. What is the advice for the twins listening today? And anyone else who may be listening? What is the advice? Okay. The bottom of the deck is Saint Germain, which is 34. 34 is the Eight of Wands, which is all about passionate exchange. The affirmation is, I believe in my ability to create miracles. Okay, so it's reiterating for you to know who you are, that you are of God. All right, when you're beginning to go through this process and work with your energies, of course it's okay to protect yourself and reach out to Jesus and other masters and angels and ETs, whoever you connect with. But as you ascend and you realize that you're all one, you are your own master. And to connect with that, connect with your own power, I believe in my ability to create miracles. That allows you to let go of all the fears. All right? Because you are someone to be reckoned with. Okay? And Saint Germain's all about the violet flame. I'm going to read you Saint Germain. He doesn't come up very often. So 34 is a 7, which is of spirituality. It's the stability of the 4 on the inside with a 3 of joy and expressing yourself on the outside. Saint Germain, Lord of Civilization, cooperates with Archangel Zadkiel to transmute the lower energies of the world in the violet flame. He is a great alchemist and magician who transforms that which no longer serves into something beautiful and light. Your guidance is to invoke Saint Germain. Surround yourself in the violet light and see the divine perfection in whatever or whomever you wish to transform. Your pure intention and focus can co-create with his energy to make miracles happen. Use this to help yourself and others to ascension, and the affirmation is, I believe in my ability to create miracles. Okay, so you're helping to transmute the negative energy of the world. But it's not about being in fear and trying to protect yourself. It's about helping others come into their unity consciousness, into their power, into their godliness. Okay, and then Thoth is the card that comes up for everyone, all right, which is number 31. 31 is the 5 of Wands. It's conflict and expansion energy. It's the 4 of stability through the direct focus of the divine masculine on the inside, which can be a selfish energy on the inside because it's very focused about self, and then 3 about expressing yourself just the way you want. All right, so think about this. You have masculine energy, and then you have someone on the outside expressing themselves the way they want. It's going to come off as selfish energy, right, which is going to cause conflict, the 5 of Wands. But ultimately it becomes the 4 of stability and structure. But do we really need the stability and structure if our heart is our home and the triangle is stronger than the square? Thoth, the high priest in the golden era of Atlantis, led his tribe to South America to become the Inca civilization. He taught that when every single aspect is in tune, the whole is automatically in harmony. Your guidance is to bring all parts of your life and your body into alignment so that you enjoy perfect health and happiness. Imagine every cell of your body as part of an orchestra. Let your thoughts conduct a magnificent concert for radiant well-being. Attune each area of your life to a higher purpose so that your life is a celebration. And the affirmation is, my life and my health are in perfect harmony. Okay? So it's just about keeping everything in balance, in harmony, to be your happiest. To allow the expansion, but remember there's always time to work on other areas of your life. So this has to do with the law of attraction as well, to, when you're too obsessed with one part that's not going well, to change your focus to the other part that is doing well, to just allow things to flow and to let the world work for you on your behalf. So we have the past life deck. Take another deep breath. Okay, what is the advice for everyone listening today? Oops. Things are falling apart a little bit. It's all good. What is the advice for everyone listening today? Okay. That folded in nicely. We have another card as well, and the bottom is spirituality and religion. That's the bottom of the deck. And that's funny. That reminds my twin friend was just showing me a picture, and it was really just of a of a heart lamp type thing, but it looks like a woman's butt when she's leaning over, which is the same thing that comes up here, right? The exploitation, and this very much deals with the movie I saw last night, the Nymphomaniac movie. Okay. Because look, there's like if you see that as a feminine's butt, there's a candle sticking out of it, okay? And this is coming up, I'm guided to bring this up. And so it's relating it to spirituality and religion, and how control has done this to the woman. So not only to open your life and your eyes to the light, but also to open your hands and your knowledge to the light. To use your hands, open your hand chakras, to use them for healing, as well as knowledge that you've learned. You're learning to integrate everything you're knowing, but also things that you've learned and are still learning, and integrate them all together. And learn from what other religions have taught as well, because there's obviously a lot of good knowledge in religion. It's just the control part that's not good. So tell me what comes up for you guys as far as that card as well. The cards that came up for you, that was the underlying energy. And so the cards that came up, again, this has come up a lot, the biblical card. And he's putting the fourth leg on, the square. He's going in the wrong direction. But it's really about building. It's the Eight of Pentacles card, really about working on the details. And I'm getting also that the idle hands are the devil's workshop. So it's always good to work with your hands. In some ways we need to go back to the basics and back to ancient times to find our happiness. Not only to use our modern learning, but also use what we've learned in the past, you know, in past religions, in past crafts and what's the word I'm looking for? Just the way we used to create. Sometimes just simplicity is best. To go back to the basics of just working with your hands and wood and a chisel. Sometimes it requires a little digging to get the crap out. Okay. But remember that it also takes effort to put holes in things that you then will have to fill. So be aware of that too. The other card that came up with biblical is Mother. Sorry, I'm always crooked. The way it's showing is actual, so it's backwards for me, so it's always confusing. So this is very much about that mother energy and giving love to the children, but they're also reading a book. All right, so the book came up in the spirituality and religion. There's nothing wrong with sharing information with your children from books, but more importantly is the love that you share with your children and the time that you spend with them in reading the books and enjoying yourselves and having fun. But also the guidance that the mother can give the children about what they read. And I love how this comes up, because look, this is the traditional roles. The mother's at home putting the kids to bed while the father's out working. Okay? It's showing you these are the templates we're breaking. It's not about segregation of duty anymore. It's about doing what your heart calls you to do. So if his heart calls him to do this many hours a day, then of course that's what he's being called to do. But if he's truly doing what makes him feel love, it's going to ripple out to the others around him. And maybe in this situation, this is the perfect situation for them. That she has a calling to teach children. And this is what she loves. So it's saying even though this is the old template way of being, it doesn't mean that it's wrong to be that. It's only wrong to be that if that's not what's in your heart. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that life. Or a simple life. Okay? It's about what your heart calls you to do. So you can't judge other people on their life because it might be right for them, according to what's in their heart. And then we have Journey of Love. Okay. Clear and align. Take a deep breath. Clear and align. Okay, so what is the advice from the Journey of Love for everyone listening today? What is the advice? What is the advice? Okay. That card wanted to come out too. So the bottom of the deck is Heart of the Moment, number 16. Alright, so that's the second time number 16 came up, which is Tower energy. And again, I'm getting that vaginal energies here. So there's a reason it's being brought up. It's being brought up as the woman seen as a vagina, basically. But how so much more there is, you know. If you look at this card, it's very red. The color on the computer is a little off. It's not that orange, it's really red. But there's this big red heart in the middle. And all these other women, there's women around turning away. They don't see what the others are doing. Yeah, there's a lot of people who've turned away. It's very dark energy. Maybe I'll read that too. I feel like it's important. That's 16, the Tower, Heart of the Moment. That's the underlying energy, which makes sense, and you know, it's kind of what I watched last night. And then the cards that came up are Self-Initiation, which again is number 12, which has come up a lot today. And the other card is Acceptance, which is number 55, which is the Ace of Swords. It's the truth. Acceptance. Oh, I like this too. Because part of in the Nymphomaniac movie last night, there's just one scene where she shares something about her and her father, that her father would take her to the woods and tell her that there was a certain tree there that was representative of his soul or his spirit. But she had never found the tree that was hers until the end. You'll see that if you watch it, it's really good in that respect. But this picture very much reminds me of that, and how pure and strong the representation here is of someone's spirit, how strong that tree is, and how much of light it is. And in this picture, and the self-initiation is obviously very much about relying only on yourself. You are your own vortex. But also this Acceptance card shows an angelic woman helping someone else who may be in need of help. But then there's a man who's less angelic, hiding behind the tree watching and learning. He doesn't look like he wants to harm them. Maybe he's just not sure of himself. So he still needs to learn. And it's weird because in the shadowy aspects of the card, you see other men around watching. So I'm getting the masculine energy learning from the feminine light. And that's number 55. So we got some reading to do here for you. The underlying energy is the Heart of the Moment. 16, like I said, is the Tower energy, and that's when I'm getting more difficult energy there. Alright, so Heart of the Moment says, you're entering a time in your life where past and future are colliding. In this present moment, you have a powerful opportunity to decide how you wish to continue in a certain pattern of relating or not. This may mean leaving a relationship or starting a new one. But even if you cannot make that decision with peace in your heart, you can still partake of the heart of this moment and decide how you shall choose to be. Will you speak? Will you choose to let go of shame and criticism, of judgment and anxiety, of loss and despair, and just be with your own heart now? Will you choose in this moment to trust yourself, even if that trust says you have to wait a while longer before you can make a more long-term decision? This is a time when you can alter your future, stepping into relationship with another, with the divine, with yourself in a new way. Even the smallest choice for love is a step in the best direction. You have the heart of the divine within you. It is not too hard for you to choose love. Let go of the people who want you to choose jealousy or fear or doubt. Their games are not nearly as fun. Choose love, and who knows, maybe they'll join your party instead. This oracle brings you a message. You are in a transition zone in your life and relationships. It is one moment that will manifest as many opportunities, where one choice will open up and many pathways to fulfillment for you. We always have the chance to create our future with our present choices. But at this time, you are in an especially fertile karmic period, having just come out of a cycle of learning and about to enter into a new cycle. This is the time to be willing to take a chance or a risk to be happy with yourself, no matter what is going on around you. Your life is about to take a karmic turn, and you can feel peace in that knowing. And the poem reads, love provides the opportunity to express the core essence of our very nature. It touches us at a level of feeling beyond the human norm and renders our beings incapable of a feeling with greater depth or wonder. Love is the fabric of life. It is the substance that holds it all together and the magic that opens the unknown. It is the quality that speaks to our soul, that opens our heart, that excites our spirit and allows us in its presence to become something greater than ourselves, something more than we are alone. Okay, and that's it. All right, so it's about having faith in yourself to do what's right based on love, based on your heart, which is very much what this reading was about, you know. Even if you've gone through difficult things. And I want to read this one sentence again. How will you choose to be? Will you speak? Will you choose to let go of shame and criticism, of judgment and anxiety, of loss and despair? Or in other words, just be with your own heart now. Okay? Will you choose this moment to trust yourself? Okay, so that's the underlying energy. Then we have self-initiation, number 12, and this one's shorter. This one just states, you're being touched by a wave of your own light in motion. Can you feel the blessings and love that are flowing towards you from within you in an upsurging wave of love? And we are also working toward the full moon right now. This is your own pure divine nature. You can choose to empower another as the carrier of your own divinity, of course. And sometimes if you're not quite ready to recognize your own divine essence, your power, this needs to be. Yet at any moment you can choose to recognize that it is you who are initiating yourself into love, that you are the being of light, the divine, that is drawing you forward into yourself. At any moment you can choose to recognize yourself. Will this be such a moment? This oracle holds a message for you. There are many teachers on this path, some humble, some wise, some great companions on your life journey, and some will enter in and out of your life quickly, perhaps imparting a helpful word or teaching you a more challenging lesson about trusting and relying on your own wisdom. The greatest teacher, however, is life itself. You can trust in your own experiences and know that it is the divine spark within you, the life within you, that is the one true teacher who carries you home in awakened reunion with the divine. And the poem is simply, how easy to love, the words flow when it's right, I dare not tell you. Okay? So how very beautiful. And it just connects again with relying on yourself, trusting yourself, and knowing your power. And when you come into your power, you no longer need to reach out for more power, because you already know that you are one with that power. So the other card I'm going to read is Acceptance, number 55. Again, that's the Ace of Swords, truth, Excalibur. You've offered yourself, asked to be of service to the greater good, created something that you want to contribute towards a healing of our world, and your offer has been gratefully accepted by the divine. Know this and be at peace. This oracle brings you a message. Spirit's connecting very strongly. You are completely received, accepted by the divine, just as you are. There is nothing to change, just you to be. You have made an offering of a prayer, a sacrifice of an attachment, and a giving of a desire to be of service, to make a contribution to the world. And your offer is joyfully being transformed into the seeds of how this can best be. Your next step is about to begin. And the poem reads, shall we find some sunshine amongst the cloudy days, a gentle touch that softly warms and leads us on our way. Past stately oaks and candles glow, and places we've never been, a friend to share the memories before it's home again. Okay? So it's just reminding you, they know that you're trying to help and do your best, and all they want you to do is be you. And to be patient through the cycles, right? Because there's always going to be some cloudy days amongst the sunshiny days. And to be patient through those cycles, you know, till when that time comes, it's time for it to happen. And no worries. When you have acceptance and you allow things to flow naturally, then you get what your heart's desire asks for. Okay? Alright, so we're getting a little long here. It's 11701. Okay? So have a great week. Drink your water. Get your rest. And, you know, rise and be loved.